Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Damon Wilson, who will fight on Cage Warriors 182, December 13th. Hello, Damon. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the invitation. And in just a few weeks, you will fight against Ryan Lilley on Cage Warriors. In my opinion, it can be a quite tricky opponent because he likes to finish the fights. So, if you can tell me, what do you think about this opponent, and overall, how do you feel before this fight?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. He's a veteran of the sport. He's been around for 10 years or so in the professional fight game. He's amassed a record where he's fought 20 professional fights. So he's got the edge over me as far as that goes, but I don't see it necessarily being a factor. I've fought plenty of guys with that kind of experience. I've fought multiple guys that have 20 plus fights on their record. And to be honest with you, I'm at the point in my career where I'm starting to feel a bit like a veteran in there. I'm comfortable in that cage. So I really don't think that that's going to be much of a factor, but he is dangerous, no doubt about it. He's got some finishes. His right hand's pretty deadly. But man, I got a deadly right hand myself. So, if he wants to put those to the test, we'll see who falls first.
Especially that you fought against really tough fighters in Cage Warriors. So it's not only that you have 9 pro fights, but also that the level of competition it's quite high.
No, you're exactly right. Fighting with Cage Warriors it's a phenomenal promotion. I mean, you know first and foremost, I'm sure you've interviewed a lot of guys in Cage Warriors. They started in Europe and really gained quite a bit of steam, and now they're starting to gain steam here in the U.S. And I don't turn down fights, so whoever they put in front of me is who I fight. And Ryan Lilley just happened to cross my phone, so he's the guy that I got to run through.
And right now you have 6 wins in the promotion. So do you think that with the if you will win this fight, there is maybe a chance for the title shot?
Hey, I always say I'm the people's champ, so if they want to see me fight for the legitimate title, I'm ready to go anytime. I'll fight for that belt this weekend if they want me to. I know it's on the line. Um, I'd be more than happy to step in. I think Harry's got the belt right now, and I got a lot of respect for him and his brother. They fight in a really exciting style. I like watching that dude fight. So yeah, of course, I would love a shot at the belt, but I got to get past Ryan Lilley first, and that's where my focus is lying right now is Ryan Lilley and taking him out quickly.
And about Ryan, did you have a chance to watch any of his fights, or you left this part of the game to your coaches?
Yeah, that's something that I've kind of learned over time with each fight. I do film study. I like breaking things down. I enjoy the fight game. I enjoy the details and the tactics that go along with it. But I do think that there comes a time when you can study too much film on your opponent. I've done it in the past. I've studied too much to where you're in the fight and you're expecting them to throw something and it never gets thrown. So I think there's a point in time where you got to stop watching film and let your coaches handle it and focus more so on your task. Focus more on what you're good at, and that's where I'm at right now in camp. There's not a lot of film watching right now. Right now, it's me sharpening my tools and being in the best shape I can be in when I step in that octagon and focus on my combinations and what I'm looking to land.
And a few months ago, in June, you fought against Brandon Carrillo. You won this fight, but there was, I believe, in the second round, the moment that he tried to put you in the rear naked choke. And from your perspective, how close was this choke?
Yeah, me and Brandon go way back. We trained a lot together, so I knew he was pretty dangerous on the ground. They got a lot of good grappling over there. So I wanted to somewhat avoid some of those situations, but it's a fight, and I'm ready for it when it goes there. He he got it under the neck. I'll give him that. He got the choke under the neck, but he didn't have control of my body. So I was aware. I was fully focused and aware of what was going on. And I think, being in the present moment in that time really benefited me well there. I focused on getting my back flat to the mat. I focused on, fighting the hands. I pulled the top hand off. And to be honest with you, it really wasn't that close in the regard of, me about to pass out or anything like that. Like I said, he did have it under the neck, but I just, stay in the present moment and focused on the fundamentals of getting out of chokes like that. I do it every day. So just fall back to the training.
But it's also probably a very good thing for your confidence that you know that you have that you can beat these tough moments and you will be stronger because of it.
Of course, man. There's always going to be adversity. Fighting is so similar to life. You're going to run into obstacles. You're going to run into adversity. Avoiding it is not the answer. You go right through it. So when I'm going into a fist fight, I'm fully aware of all the possibilities that could happen. And I'm okay with those. I'm okay with all the possibilities going into the fight, and knowing that and feeling that gives you confidence. That gives you the ability to stay focused in that present moment, like I said. So yeah, man, I'm all good with that. I'm all good with going through a little adversity to get the win. That's what you got to do. That's what a fighter is.
And your overall combat sport experience started with wrestling, correct?
Yeah. Wrestled at 5 years old. Came from a wrestling family.
So you started it as the really young kid, right?
Yeah. So where are you from? Where are you at?
Poland.
Okay, yeah. So you guys got a little bit of wrestling there, right? Yeah. Yeah, man, wrestling in the States is pretty big, and it wasn't extremely big where I grew up in Southern Illinois. But I was known for being in a wrestling family. My family was pretty well known. My dad was a great wrestling coach. I had two older brothers that were very accomplished in the sport of wrestling. So yeah, wrestling it was in my blood. I didn't really have much of a choice when it came to stepping on a wrestling mat. And I think that those early days is really what instilled in me the work ethic and the drive and determination that I still carry with me today in the fight game and in the rest of life. Dan Gable said it best when he said, everything, once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy. And yeah, I think that rings pretty true, to be honest with you.
And we can see in your fights that you are a very good wrestler, but also I really like your striking style, because there are combination of punches, kicks. You put really good pressure on your opponents, and you have a really good cardio. So sometimes when the wrestler is going to MMA, all the strikes here is just to take the opponent to the ground. And I think that you could fight for 15 minutes in a really good pace, really good technical stand-up fight.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, when I was in wrestling, I was an okay wrestler. I didn't accomplish the things that I wanted to. My brothers were a little more successful than me. I remember walking off the mat several times wishing that I could have thrown punches, so when my wrestling career was over, I made the decision to be a fighter and to be a fighter. I wasn't going to go in and just try to wrestle people and hold on for a win. I'm a fight fan first and foremost. So there's styles that I like to watch, and I like watching a good wrestler, but I like watching them be able to mix it up. I appreciated the guys that were more of sprawl and brawlers. The Chuck Liddells, the Justin Gaethjes, guys like that could use their wrestling to keep the fight on the feet and beat people up. But yeah, the game of MMA has evolved so much. If you're one-dimensional, you're not going to make it very far in this sport. So I think it's important to be able to blend things, blend your strikes into your takedowns, into your clinch. And that's something that I've worked pretty hard on over the past few years And I believe that that's the most difficult thing when it comes to MMA is finding ways to blend things fluidly and being able to stay calm, because each individual situation, whether it's wrestling or striking, it takes different types of cardio. Your striking is a little more on your lungs. Your wrestling is a little more on your muscles. So you got to be able to go back and forth between the two of those. And I think that's the most difficult thing, and where a lot of wrestlers tend to struggle is not being able to blend that and not being able to keep up with the cardio style of that. Yeah, I appreciate that, though. That's what I try to do, is push a pace and blend in my MMA.
And I know that you train in a really good gym. And if you can tell me more about the coaches, the sparring partners that you have there, and overall, how did you get there?
Yeah, yeah. So my coaches and training partners have changed a little bit over the years. I came out here back in 2019, and I basically just up and left my job, and I hooked up my camper. I'm in a camper right now, about a 20-foot camper just for me, and I came out here because I wanted to train with Dominick Cruz and Jeremy Stephens was the main reason. And I learned a ton from those guys over the last few years. For my last fight camp and for this fight camp, Dominick Cruz has been in Mexico training, but I have had Jeremy. So Jeremy Stephens is one of my main training partners. He's an absolute savage. The longevity that he's had in this game is up there with the best of them. So it's great having him as a training partner, but also in my corner. And right now my coaches are phenomenal. I've got Phil Davis is teaching me my wrestling right now. He was a multiple-time All-American national champ at Penn State. Incredible wrestling, incredible fighter. Nick Piedmont was a really good fighter, had a great career, and now he's transitioned into coaching as well. And Coach Adrian Melendez, he's actually the owner of Azteca Boxing, and that's where we're at right now. And he's got a lot of background in the boxing world. So I got the best of everything, it seems like, and I just really like the way that we go about training. I think there's so much experience in our room that it translates into a really good fight camp. They know me. I've been around long enough, and I've been around these guys long enough to where they know when to pull me back and they know when to push me hard, because sometimes as an individual, we can be our biggest critic, and we can also get in our own head where we want to push. And sometimes you got to pump the brakes, let the body heal, and then put a good hard weekend. So yeah, being around these guys at Azteca, it's been tremendous.
And you mentioned really big names in the sport, because Jeremy Stephens is a kind of legend of the this super exciting style, and Phil Davis. It's I actually I thought that he will be fighting for the UFC title. Unfortunately, he just decided to go to Bellator, and he was successful there. But at one point, I was thinking about John Jones against Phil Davis fight, because I think that it would be a really great fight.
Yeah, that would have been a good one to see. I think that was a missed opportunity. Those two probably should have matched up. Kind of similar styles. But yeah, Phil's a phenomenal fighter. And he's just got a really intelligent way of looking at the game. And so does Jeremy. Jeremy gets seen in this image as, pure savage and just crazy, knockout power, crazy celebrations. But when it gets down to the brass, man, he's really intelligent in the way that he looks at the game as well, especially in the recovery process. He's in his upper 30s, and I swear this guy is still in his prime. The way he takes care of his body and the way he's able to continue training at the highest level and competing in bare knuckle now, where it's pretty dangerous. Yeah, I think that guy could fight for several more years, and it's crazy to me. But yeah, these guys are really intelligent when it comes to the fight game.
And Jeremy, you will have a big fight in January against Eddie Alvarez. So it's like
Yeah,
also like super big fight, especially that Eddie also is like like this kind of sport, like a bare knuckle. And I think that this will be a really exciting one.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. I was glad that it got scheduled. Jeremy had been trying to fight Eddie for quite a while. I'm kind of surprised they hadn't crossed paths before. You know, they've both been around a long time, but it's definitely due. And I think being in the bare knuckle ring is probably where it should be. So I'm excited for that one.
And about Dominick Cruz, because recently, I believe he said that he will have one more fight. And for Dominic, who do you think he should fight next in this fight?
Man, I mean, you got to throw Jose Aldo in the mix. You know, that's the one that keeps coming up. I keep hearing a lot of people say that, and it makes sense. You know, those are two guys that have been around for a long time. Were at the top of their division. You know, arguably the best in their division of all time. Kind of surprising that they didn't cross paths as well, but you know, Aldo didn't drop down to bantamweight until later in his career, so I could see that one happen. You know, I'm sure Dom's a very competitive guy, so I'm sure that he would want any of his losses back. You know, the Henry Cejudo fight, I think he would really like that one back. And I think that would be a pretty exciting one for the fans to get into. And then, of course, Cody Garbrandt, you know, I think he would like that one back as well. Garbrandt kind of got him when he was a little banged up, and wasn't quite himself in that one. So I could say I could see any of those happening. What do you think, though?
I actually think that there are like super fights like you mentioned, maybe Aldo, maybe Cejudo, maybe Garbrandt. So definitely the former champion. I think that Dominic deserved to fight one of these fights. I actually thought that maybe, but he's retired, but maybe like Frankie Edgar. It also would be
Yeah,
a interested one. Also the former champion. But from this group, I think that the rematch against Cody would be the most exciting.
yeah, I think that'd be a fun one for sure.
And I would like to ask you about your nickname because it's Nomad, Nomad. So, how did you get this nickname?
Yeah. So the Nomad. So you know, nomadic tribes over the course of history were notorious for traveling, for not quite having a home base. You know, constantly moving from you know area to area, and that's kind of what I've done for the last 10 years or so since I graduated college. I've been on the road working for a lot of that time, and then once I transitioned to fighting, still on the road. You know, I do call Illinois home. You know, I've got my wife and some babies there, so I'm starting to settle down a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a nomad. And I always say, you know, I pull up my camper and I start whooping ass. And on top of that, it's actually my name spelled backwards, so that's always an interesting take. You know, I've got some merch out there that says the Nomad on it. People always look in the mirror and it says Damon, and they're like, "Oh man, now I get it." You know, so you know it's a nice little play on words, and I think people like it. You know, it's given me a bit of an identity in the fight game, and I think that's really important.
Yes, you are definitely live the life of the nomad, so it's like no question about it.
For sure.
And you have like many years of experience in wrestling right now in fighting. And in your opinion, how important is like the mental part of the game?
Man, it's so important. Um, you know, because at the end of the day, everyone can throw the punches and kicks. You know, everyone can train and learn how to fight, but there's so much more that goes into it, and I think that's what doesn't always come across on the TV screen to the general audience. You know, people always say, "Oh, well, you know, any good athlete could go in there and fight." And man, it's just you you're putting your life on the line in there, so that's going to mess with your head, and not to mention you're not getting paid very well, so you're going in there and your life's on the line. You're not getting paid very well. You understand that you need to not worry about the outcome. But then again, the outcome's really all that matters at the end of the day. If you don't win, you don't progress your career. If you don't progress your career, you go broke. So it's really a conundrum in the fight game that people don't quite understand unless you're in it. And it can definitely take a toll on you mentally. I've learned over the years that, you've got to roll with the punches, and you've got to find a way to enjoy it, because I got into this because I love fighting. And I've had times where I didn't like it. I've had a lot of times where I hated it, and I've almost called it quits, and I think every fighter goes through those moments. And, you just got to remind yourself of the positive things that come with fighting. I think that I can inspire a lot of people. I've had people back home that tell me that, they follow my career and it inspires them to go out and do things. And I think that's really important. And now that I have kids, man, I think that's one thing that has opened my eyes is I want to show my kids that you can go out and do something and be somebody that you're passionate about. You don't have to just go get a 9-to-5, work a job until you're dead. So I think that the mental process is a learning process, and I'm continuing to learn and grow. And it's never going to be perfect. You're always going to have a little self-doubt creeping in, but as long as you stay more positive than negative, you'd be all right. So yeah.
And like you said, like going for your dreams, it's a very important thing overall in life. But in your case, as for the like dream in MMA, do you have one thing that you would like to accomplish?
Man, I mean, obviously you want to win world titles and all that. Everybody, if you're in it to not get to the top, then you probably shouldn't do it. But to be honest, with a simpler answer, man, I would just like to get to a point where I'm getting paid enough to where I can continue to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and it seems like the UFC is really the only option out there. All these regional promotions, they do an incredible job. I got nothing against them, but you don't get paid enough to make a living and raise a family. And I think that's a shame. So, man, if I can just make enough money to where I can continue to do this for the next 10 years or until my body, goes out on me, then I'd be happy with that. I'd be satisfied with that. And as far as the wins and losses go, I'm not overly concerned about it. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you want to keep doing it, you got to win. So I'm going to do everything I can to win world titles and continue to do this and support my family.
So for this UFC is definitely the best place because of the like amount of money, because of the like bonuses. So there is maybe not the only option, but definitely the best option.
Yeah, I know there's some other options out there for sure. But yeah, it seems like right now that's probably the best option. But yeah, like I said, I'm not opposed to fighting in any other organization, as long as I can, like I said, make enough money to keep doing it. And because this is what I love to do. This is what I want to do. And you only have a small window to do it. I can't do this into my 40s. So, I'm 31 years old right now. I'm coming into my prime. And I think that it would be an injustice if the combat sports fans around the world weren't able to see the Nomad compete in the biggest fights on the biggest stages. So that's what I'm trying to give them.
And do you have a name from the UFC in mind that you would like to face?
Give me Ilya Topuria. Come on, man. He's got the belt. Whoever's got the belt, give me that guy. That's who I want.
And like stylistically, because Ilya, of course, is like also a super exciting fighter, so it's no question about it because of his like crazy boxing, but also the not including a title fight from the overall the roster. Do you have maybe style in mind that you watch his fights and you say maybe it would be a good one?
Um, hmm. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the division that I think I could beat right now. I don't know any names off the top of my head, but um, let's see. Yeah, Ilya would be a tough fight, obviously, because he's got the power, and then you got, Volkanovski, and he's just as well rounded as it gets. But as far as matchups go, I mean, I think that I match up well against just about anybody just because I can take a punch and give a punch with the best of them. And I think that's crucial to have, because like I said, everyone can throw the punches and kicks. It's can you take the punches and kicks and be able to stay calm in the fire? And I think I can. I think I can stay calm in the fire against the best guys in the world and give it right back to them. So, if a short notice fight comes up, I'm game. Let's do it.
And also in the featherweight division, it's a deep division, and they have like a few really interesting names. Also, the in the like end of the top 15 or even outside of the ranking. So I think that there would be a lot of good matchups for you.
Yeah. Hey, who you want me to fight? Tell me who you want me to fight, and I'll see if I can get them.
I'm actually like overall big for many years big fan of Edson Barboza. He actually
Ah,
is he is in the featherweight division, and to be honest, I thought that that maybe in some like a few times that he will fight for either like lightweight or featherweight title.
yeah.
Unfortunately, probably it will not happen. But still, I think that he's like super big name, and of course he's super aggressive fighter. So I think that almost all of his fights are very very good.
I'll fight Edson just because you want me to, but I do not want to get kicked by him. I'm not trying to get kicked by that guy.
Yes, his like leg kicks are crazy. He's I believe one of two people who got two TKO by low kicks, leg kicks.
Uh, I mean, he kicks as hard as anybody I've seen. So yeah, he's dangerous for sure.
And right now you are in the prime of your career, so you will have a lot of bouts in next few years. But do you think that after you will end your career, you will become a coach, MMA coach?
Yeah, I do. I come from a long line of coaches in my family. My dad was a really good wrestling coach. My brother has taken over our high school program after my dad left. I have my other brother. He tends to go in and help coach a lot as well. And then on my mom's side of the family, we had a lot of legendary basketball coaches, believe it or not. Yeah, she came from a basketball family, and a lot of my grandpa and some great uncles, they're in Hall of Fames, all over the country. So I come from a long line of coaches, and I do think that it would be a nice transition once my fight career is over. I'd like to accomplish some things so that it gets me some name recognition, and I want to open up a gym back home in Illinois. There's not a ton of MMA gyms. There's becoming more and more jujitsu gyms. There are some MMA gyms, popping up in the area, but I would love to open up a gym, MMA based. Kind of offer everything. My wife is also a mental health therapist, and I would like to possibly do a collaboration where we're able to run an MMA gym and also like a sports psychology type of thing. We were talking about the mental side earlier, and I think it would be really nice to be able to have both of that in one location. Be able to work on your physical and your mental. So yeah, down the road, that's the goal.
And do you think about like what name are you thinking about? How you would like to name the gym? Do you have a name?
Ooh, I don't know. To be honest, I haven't thought of a name. My last name means a lot to me. The name Wilson. It means a lot to me just because I carry a lot of pride with, you know, with with my ancestors and the people that have come before me. Um, so having Wilson in the name might be good, but I'm the Nomad, and a lot of people know me as that, so the Nomad might have to be thrown in the mix as well. I don't know. We'll have to brainstorm on that one.
And getting back to your next fight, what is your official prediction for this one?
Man, I see a collision in the center of the octagon, and man, when the dust settles and the smoke clears, I think he's looking up at the lights because I put his chin through the back of his skull. Yeah, I do.
Okay, Damon, so many thanks for the conversation. I think that the next fight will be a really exciting one, and I hope that maybe next year you will fight for the Cage Warriors title, maybe even in UK.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate you supporting me and getting guys on here to tell a little bit about our story and getting people following it. So I really appreciate you having me on.